What's up everyone, Tony here, and welcome to part 2 of my 3-part video series covering the great Cyberpunk Megaton of June 2020. In part 1, we went over the entire first episode of Night City Wire and meticulously broke down the all-new trailer. If you haven't watched that video already, definitely give it a watch first so you're all caught up. Today, we'll be taking a closer look at the 25 minutes of direct B-roll gameplay footage that CD Projekt Red has released. The 25 minutes of video is actually made up of 10 distinct clips, and the vast majority of that footage is pure, gorgeous gameplay, all from the game's prologue. There is a lot to take away from all of this footage, but first, I want to just give a quick warning. In today's video, I'll be getting into some story details, specifically with regards to the 3 life paths. Now, keep in mind, all of this information was officially provided by CD Projekt Red in the form of press getting 4 hours of hands-on time with the game. They were free to choose any of the 3 life paths and share how exactly the gameplay and story changed between the 3. I just want to be clear that it's not like this is leaked information or something. This is all info CD Projekt Red fully intended to get out before the game's launch. However, if you're still sensitive to any story details whatsoever, even stuff that is literally the very beginning of the game's prologue, which is what we'll be looking at today, then this is your spoiler warning and you could turn away now. With that, let's not waste any more time and get right into it. We begin with this first clip, which was seen briefly in the trailer and shows off what appears to be the very first mission in the game, if you choose the Street Kid life path. Indeed, depending on the life path you choose, you will start the game in a different location, meet different characters, and play as a V with a totally different life experience up to that point. That also means 3 entirely unique opening sequences and introductory missions. As a street kid, the story begins with V being sent by a friend to meet up with another character named Kirk Sawyer. V's friend needs Kirk to do him a favor, and as you'd probably expect, it looks like V gets caught in the middle of these two. Kirk will help out if V can go out, jack, and deliver a Rayfield Erendite, a rare vehicle where only a few exist in the world of Cyberpunk. Here in the footage, we pick up just as V has found the car. We can see in the top left corner that V is in constant conversation with Kirk Sawyer throughout the job, and I suspect this type of storytelling will be a staple throughout the entire game and work much like the cell phone in the GTA games. So V gets into the car, which has an absolutely sexy interior, might I add, and just as we're about to make our getaway, none other than Jackie shows up with a gun in our face. Well, how about that? There's a little more story that I should probably fill you all in on. While making your way to the location of this rare car, V runs into an old friend who gives him a ride to the spot. Unfortunately, V talks a little too much during the car ride, revealing what exactly he's on his way to do, and the driver overhears the conversation. That driver was Jackie, and that's how these two meet for the first time in the Street Kid life path. So V seems pretty screwed, but it turns out the two make a scene for a bit too long, and the cops show up. Just before they're taken away, we meet Kaoru Fujioka, who is absolutely swagged out with that golden vest. Pretty sure that was his car we were about to steal. He's also brought along his frickin' giant sumo wrestler bodyguards, and I have to say I am loving every design I see on the screen right now. Shocking news, this game looks really cool, and one of the main reasons why I'm so excited for it is CD Projekt Red's impeccable art direction and character design, which always shines through whenever they release new footage of this game. Clearly, this guy is pretty high up the food chain in Night City, as he tells the crooked cops to kill V and Jackie. As V is knocked out, the clip ends. Quite a way to start the game off, if that is indeed the first mission we play. With the next clip, we get some gorgeous third-person driving through the streets of Night City. CD Projekt Red is just blessing us with more awesome, gifable material. But also, the HUD has been updated with some new essential information. We see your standard health bar and XP bar, and then what looks to be your current overall level. Finally, we have these icons here, which represents our cyber deck memory. This will allow us to use quick hacks in combat, and we'll get a better look at how it works exactly in another clip later in this video. After driving for a bit, we meet with Jackie, who is chilling here at the entrance of the bar. And I have to say, I love this shot. You see a dude just chilling on the steps. You can see the smoke coming out of the place. This is pure, gritty cyberpunk vibes, and I love it so much. We also get another look at some more HUD elements. Hitting up on the D-pad will take out your phone, at least I think that's what that is. And right on the D-pad will summon your vehicle to where you're standing, much like calling Roach in The Witcher 3. If you hold down the call button, you can even select from a list of vehicles you have access to and choose which one you want delivered. Up on the D-pad looks to be dedicated to consumables that activate buffs or recover your health, and then the RB button seems to be dedicated to a sub-weapon like a grenade. Anyways, this clip seems to be from the Nomad life path, but it looks like V ends up becoming friends with Jackie in all 3 life paths, even after having a gun pointed in his face. I guess that's just how you make friends in the dystopian cyberpunk future. After speaking to the bouncer, we find out that this is where Dexter Deshawn hangs out. Dex is a well-known fixer in Night City, but according to Jackie, this girl Rogue is even higher up on the food chain than him. I get the feeling that after the prologue is over, we'll be coming into contact with this Rogue character. I don't think he says that line for no reason. The two enjoy a drink together, and that's the end of the second clip. Clip number 3 has us flying over to Lizzie's bar. This little scene is from the Corpo life path, where V actually starts the game filthy rich, working for the Arasaka Corporation. He takes the company private plane down to Night City, where he meets with an old friend named Jackie at Lizzie's bar. As you can see, V's HUD as a Corpo is Arasaka branded. He has a constant stock ticker scrolling in his periphery at all times, and I think that's a really cool touch. This is cyberpunk as hell. We land, and this is where we meet the ballers, including Mr. MC Hammerpants with the flip-flops. And here we are at the infamous Lizzie's bar. It's pretty dead right now, I'll be honest, but at the same time, I've been to plenty of clubs that are dead at 10:30 p.m. Hopefully if the player comes back at like 1 a.m., it would be packed. Come on, CD Projekt Red, I need to see some realistic, futuristic cyberpunk raves in this game. We meet with Jackie, who's chilling by himself in the VIP booth, and the clip ends. With clip number 4, we get some more beautiful third-person driving footage that gives us a good sense of what it's going to be like traversing around Night City with a car. But this clip is a bit bizarre. It appears to be 2:31 p.m. according to the in-game clock, but the scene is clearly at night. Now, I know the city is called Night City, but damn, I can't imagine it gets that dark at 2:30 in the afternoon unless there's like a hurricane coming through or something. Maybe this is just a glitch, or the day-night cycle is really messed up in the dystopian cyberpunk future. Anyways, as the player drives, it looks like a mission has just been cleared as various different stats level up, and we see these messages constantly pop up on the screen. Overall, pretty standard stuff. But wait, what's this?
Wait a minute. Go right. Enhance 5719.
Milfgard? That sounds an awful lot like Nilfgaard? Is that another Witcher reference? I don't know, man. That's a lot of Witcher references, and we've only just seen the prologue. Very interesting. I definitely look forward to Easter egg hunting once this game comes out. The next 3 clips all give us a good look at the beginning of the Nomad life path. As it turns out, you actually start the game in the Badlands and completely off the grid if you select Nomad, which I think is really cool and goes further than I ever expected, differentiating one life path from the others. I am curious though if the Badlands will be accessible in the early game should you select another life path, or if it's a Nomad exclusive area, at least during the prologue. Anyways, the clip begins with Nomad V in a garage in the Badlands. I think this is one of many occasions where we'll find ourselves looking in a mirror in this game, if for nothing else, to observe and admire all the crazy character customization you'll be doing with your V, something that we sadly don't get to see a whole lot of, with the game primarily taking place in first person. Somewhat predictably, V decides he can't live much longer out here in the wilderness and has taken a job that will bring him into Night City. However, on the way to the job, his car breaks down, so he finds himself in this garage. The mechanic looking at the car turns out to be useless, so V rigs something up that should get the thing running at least temporarily. He steps into the car and boy is this interior just fantastic. Hell yeah. If this is the kind of detail we can find in every car interior, that would excite me very greatly. Just before he could head out, look who it is. The Cyberpunk sheriff has come to town. I can't believe we still have cowboy hats in 2077. How embarrassing. If I wanted to see clowns wearing cowboy hats, I could just boot up Red Dead Online. Anyways, the next clip features some driving around the Badlands area, and I assume this is the point where V heads out to meet with Jackie. This is a clip we saw part of during the Night City Wire video, and I think it looks great here in unedited form, even if the pop-in is probably at its worst here in the big, open Badlands area. Again, all I could hope for is once that substantial next-gen update is released in 2021, this kind of thing is no longer an issue. I also think it's interesting to note the HUD and how it's changed compared to the clip we saw with V driving around Night City. The combat mode option that we saw in the clip from Night City is no longer selectable. I wonder if that's a vehicle-specific option, or maybe it's just not usable here at this specific point in the story. Anyways, all of that aside, I'm really excited to explore the Badlands area when I finally get my hands on the game, because if I know CD Projekt Red, there are probably a ton of secrets to discover in all of that open land. In the next clip, it appears that Nomad V has finally met with Jackie and they're crossing the border to get into Night City and complete whatever job they've been given. I'm sure they're just gonna slowly drive to wherever they gotta go, and absolutely nothing will go wrong. Oh crap, Arasaka goons are on our ass, and we finally get a taste of some drive-by combat. Judging by your level and experience points, this looks to be the very first combat scenario for Nomad. You even have infinite ammo, so you could just point the gun at the bad guys and keep shooting until they all go away. Everything looks pretty solid here from what I could tell. Like GTA, you could either pick off the enemies individually with careful aim, or just unload on the car itself until it catches fire and eventually explodes. Though in Cyberpunk, nailing headshots will earn you bonus XP, so there's incentive to go for them every time. The clip ends with V and Jackie escaping from the pursuers. From everything we've seen so far of the 3 different life paths, we basically get presented with 3 different backstories for V and 3 different introductory sequences. But ultimately, they all end up the same way. V somehow meets Jackie, they become friends, and they start working up the ranks in Night City's underworld. At that point, I suspect all 3 life paths follow generally the same story and you're presented with the same missions. It's unknown just how much of an impact your chosen life path will have on the game overall outside of this intro sequence. Will there be significant differences in the campaign and the quests that you could go on, or will it just be something small like life path specific responses when you're in a dialogue? We'll just have to wait and see. The next clip is the brain dance sequence that we saw during Night City Wire episode 1. Nothing new here, and I don't really have anything else to add from what I said in my last video. It's your standard detective mode detective work, and Judy is the best. Let's all take this opportunity to admire once again the next gen hair. Look at that hair. Look at that hair.
Hella nice.
In the next clip, we meet the twins, and I am loving these 2 design-wise. 90s sneakers, joggers, and acid blue jeans. I approve. After some talking, we get a look at how the hand-to-hand combat works here in Cyberpunk 2077. Considering we can upgrade our bodies to spawn giant swords out of our arms relatively early in the game, I'm not sure how often we'll be punching dudes with our bare fists, but hey, it's always there if you want to use it. This seems like a pretty basic side quest where you learn the basics of punching, blocking, dodging, and you can make some quick cash for your troubles. Finally, we reach the 10th and final clip from this batch of B-roll footage and get a really good look at some traditional on-foot gunplay and combat. First, we get a bit more third-person driving around Night City, and this is more like it. The time says 1:13 p.m., and it actually looks like it's 1:13 p.m. V hops out of the car, and it's time to take on some enemies. Instead of running in guns blazing, we see a more stealthy approach to combat. The player targets and scans a nearby enemy, which gives you a bit of info on them, including their level. From here, you can activate a quick hack on the target, and we see exactly how those cyberdeck memory icons from before come into play. More powerful quick hacks will take up more of that memory, so you need to be smart here when it comes to choosing the right one for the right situation. We see the player use Overheat, which burns 4 memory sticks and basically sets an enemy on fire and stuns him in place. Wonderful. You can now easily approach and kill this dude. Next, the player heads into this warehouse and we see how grenades work. Before throwing one, you could actually see the range the blast will have, which is a really nice touch. V jumps down to take out a bunch of not gangsters, not goons, but gangoons. After shooting a bunch of them down, V moves ahead and switches her gun out for some mantis blades. Oh yeah. Like I said, why fight with your fists when you could install these babies during the prologue? I can now confirm that you can land a headshot with mantis blades. How about that? Look at that head just spinning. I love how we go from this gnarly decapitation to this little head just cleanly spinning on the ground there. There's something else a bit odd I noticed about this scene. If we look closely, it looks like the enemy tries and fails to run on the wall here. As it turns out, wall running was actually removed from the game at some point during development, but it looks like this character's AI wasn't updated to reflect those changes. So she tries and fails to wall run. Big mistake. Slice. Hey, you can read the words at the top there. Work in progress. I'm sure this little glitch will be ironed out come launch day in November. Overall though, I am loving what I'm seeing of this game's combat. To me, it already looks fun, and most of what we've seen was only from the game's prologue, including this clip here. I cannot wait to just upgrade the hell out of my character and see how fast and powerful you can become in this game. I look forward to pushing this game's combat system to its absolute limits, and I think as the game goes on, it's only going to become more and more fun. And with that, we are going to wrap it up for today. There is definitely a lot to take from this new B-roll footage, most of which was barely touched upon during the Night City Wire video. But now, we must prepare for the main event. In part 3 of the Great Cyberpunk Megaton of June 2020, I'll be meticulously breaking down a number of articles written by press who were able to get 4 hours of actual hands-on time with an unrestricted demo of Cyberpunk 2077. That's right, the entire world was open for them to explore and do whatever they wanted, and as a result, we have been provided with a mind-blowing amount of new Cyberpunk 2077 details that weren't shown or talked about at all in the trailer, Night City Wire, or today's B-roll footage. I've taken notes on a number of web impressions, video impressions, and even the super detailed Cyberpunk article from the latest issue of Game Informer magazine. We'll also take a look at some new screenshots and concept art and try to figure out what they potentially tell us about the game as well. It's a lot. Trust me. I don't even know how I'm going to put this video together. This is insanity. This game is massive. It's hard to even believe at times just how huge and packed with unique content CD Projekt Red's new world will be. But somehow I'll figure it out, and that video is going to be an absolute banger when it's ready. So if you like this video and want to see the finale of this Cyberpunk 2077 mini video series, please hit that like button and subscribe to my channel. Like I said last time, the hype train isn't stopping between now and launch, so expect consistent Cyberpunk 2077 videos going forward as news continues to trickle out. But that's going to do it for today, so until next time, thanks so much for watching everyone, and take care.